All right, guys, so the next one is going to be 88. And this one's going to be kind of more of a theory lesson. And what music theory means, we've talked about that before in class, are the rules of music, okay? Now, if you scroll in here, or zoom in a little bit, okay? This says C major scale, skill, and then it says concert B flat major. So, as an example, for the flutes, the trombones, and the baritones, and the percussion on mallets, this would say B flat major scale, concert B flat. You'll remember in class we talked about, hopefully you remember, last quarter we talked about how some instruments have different note names, but when we play them all together, they sound the same. Remember, that's when we say concert pitch. So for this one, this is for the clarinets and trumpets, it's gonna say C major. For the alto saxes, it'll say E flat major. And once again, for the flutes, the trombones, the baritones, and our mallet percussion, it'll say B flat major. But it's all the same scale for everybody, meaning it all sounds the same when we play it together. And that's the concert B flat major scale. Here, you have the scale all the way through here, this first line, okay? Then they do what's called arpeggios. Then they do what's called chords. Now, a scale is just a set number of notes put together. In fact, brass players, we already did this. If you remember, I had you write it down. The difference with this one in the book is it jumps down the octave partway through. Whereas you guys have learned going up the octave, which is great. That means you've learned some extra notes, brass players, trumpets, trombones, and baritones. So if you go to the piano, a scale is just a series of notes, if you want to zoom down here, a series of notes that you put together that sound a certain way. So here, for instance, here's a concert B flat scale. I can start on any note and play a major scale, and it kind of has that same sound. Remember, we talked about the difference between major and minor. Now, if we go back to our music, okay, we have the scale as the first line, then the arpeggio. And arpeggio and chords are basically the same thing in music theory, except when we play by ourselves, we can't play chords because we can't play more than one note at a time on our wind instruments. You can on the piano, but you can't on our band instruments. So what we have to do is play one note at a time. When you play one note at a time of a chord, it's actually called an arpeggio, okay? While watching the music, listen to how this arpeggio sounds. Then when I get to the chords, I'm just gonna pick one note to choose. Choose whichever one you want, top or bottom. All right, so I might play this. Or I might play. If I play with a friend, or if I play in a full band with other instruments, one person or a group of people could play the top, and while the other person or another group of people could play the bottom, and you get these really cool chord sounds. All together, it's going to sound like this. Listen. And that is our major scale skill. Work on this one a lot. It's really good for your range, your fingering technique, and being able to jump throughout the notes of the scale. So this one should be one you practice a lot. See ya.